Hello YouTube, my name is Gabriel Hannes and this is my English 102 video blog on folk sayings about weather. For my project I had to interview two different people and ask them questions. Now if you're a little confused about what the word folk means, it's just tradition or traditional. So these would be sayings you might have heard growing up from your parents or grandparents. When I did my interviews, I interviewed my mom and my former English teacher, Mrs. Southern. First off, when I did my interview, I had some trouble the first time. My first person I interviewed was Mrs. Southern, and I went to her current place of work at a mall school. The environment was extremely chaotic, and I had some computer trouble as well. I was using questions off of my computer as well as my audio recording program on the computer. However, when I went home that night to look at the recording, it was gone. So the major lesson I learned from this was to either have multiple audio devices or make sure that you back up the file immediately afterwards. So for that part of my paper, I had to rely on my transcript notes that I took. Now the two subcategories I asked my interviewees about was, what are some folk sayings about weather? And do you believe these are true or not? To my surprise, I did learn quite a few new folk sayings. Mrs. Southern told me some about snow. She said you can look at the number of woolly caterpillars in the fall, and that will be the number of snows in the winter to come. She said you could also look at the thickness of a spider's web, and that will tell how heavy the snow is. My mom told me one about tornadoes, and she said that you open all the doors and windows on the house to relieve pressure when a tornado is coming. That one just blew me away. It was crazy. So I was just awestruck, and obviously today we know not to do that. The point that interested me more was whether or not they believed these were true. And I kind of got a mixy, wishy-washy answer from both of them. They both said they believed in some particular areas. Mrs. Southern said she believes more along the lines of things like the Farmer's Almanac and a few predictions. Other than that, the predictions are just fun. For my mom, she probably believes a lot more than Miss Southern. She said that when you grow up hearing these over and over and they come true over and over again, you don't really dispute them. She did say, however, that a few of them are false. I also asked whether these could apply globally, and they both went on two completely different answers. Mrs. Southern said she thinks that with some rewording and some rewording of the conditions as well, that they would probably apply globally. My mom said that you'd have to look at the climate, however. So, what I drew from all of this was when you're evaluating folk sayings about weather, you really have to look at, is it scientifically possible? And if it is, what personal experiences do you have to back up that claim? So that's how I kind of have decided to look at it from now on, is to think, is it regionally possible to have this condition met? And has it happened to me? Have I experienced it? So that's what my paper was about, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching it.